Hi, friends. Our first live. We don't expect a lot of activity on here, but this is the start to our new interview sessions with women and humans in business that we admire and are inspired by. And, we're probably going to end up changing the name down the road, but for now, it's like OnlyFans, but different. Because, if Instagram already flagged us and our name anyway and our website, so we can't even post it, why not poke the bear just a little bit more and go with an OnlyFans? Because we are literally OnlyFans of all of the businesses that we are referring on here. Hi! Oh, it's so fun to see the comments pop up. Love you guys so very much. So our first live interview, and don't worry, we're going to download this, save it to our YouTube channel, and it will serve as an archive of love letters to all the she's and gays and theys in business that we adore and admire, and that you all adore and admire and have referred and put on our platforms and posted about and shown your love for. So with that, our first up is Kristin Chau with The Source in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We are going to bring her in. I think we're doing this kind of seamlessly when she joins. We were a little worried, chatting ahead of time. We did it. I'm so proud of us.
Oh, perfect.
So good. Okay. Kristin, I already kind of let the folks know you're joining from Sioux Falls. Are you at The Source right now?
I am not
You are not. Okay, so you're
right
home.
now.
We're getting cozy. We're at the house. I love it. I want to start too with kind of how I know Kristin. How did we go about choosing her for the first time? And I got connected through you, through the referral queen of all queens, Jen James. I feel like I know so many wonderful women in business through her and just different resources and things that I cannot go without through Jen. And your business is in Sioux Falls. I have a lot of family that lives there. So every time I go back for the holidays to visit and I have to work remote, I always choose The Source. You have the cutest space. You're always doing new fun things. And then when I met you, it was like the icing on top because you're the most bubbly, outgoing, just charismatic human, and your family is also just the cutest fam. I'm excited for everybody to get to learn more about you.
Yes.
And while we're touching on that, we're a little nervous here, so I love that this is our first interview. Because you wouldn't guess that from Kristin because she is so outgoing and can talk to anyone. And when you're in her space, you can tell she knows the people who come in or wants to get to know them and meet them. And when I first asked about doing this interview, she had mentioned that she just like does not love this sort of thing. And I think a lot of people can relate. So just to get our nerves out of the way, can you tell us more about that?
I don't know. I think it's just like literally, I was telling you, it's in our DNA. My entire family's the most like outgoing, just bubbly, love to chat with anyone. Um, but formal things like this just are not like in our DNA. I don't know. We are people who just like individually like to get to know people's stories and have one-on-one conversations. But when it comes to public settings, I think having a spotlight on you and your story, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel comfortable. But I know this year, I was telling Emily that I really want to step out of my comfort zone and push myself professionally. And I think something, even through college and in high school, I've always struggled with public speaking, and just being in a little bit more intimate, formal settings and sharing my story or my gifts or what have you. Um, I feel like this next year, though, I said I'm going to start saying yes to things so that I can personally grow this part of me that I've had nerves around. And so, like, speaking to you, knowing you as a friend, I think is a good start.
Totally, totally. And I can relate as well. And I think a lot of, um, people in business that aren't, they signed up for the passion and the joy of what they're doing and not necessarily for all the other stuff that comes with it, be it being afraid to kind of put our faces out there, liking to do all of the motions behind the scenes, not necessarily in front of the scenes, or if it's the accounting side of it, the marketing side whatever aspect it is, we don't always love every piece. So I thought that was just awesome that you were vulnerable enough to share that, like, this isn't something I love.
Hmm.
Working on it, because I think that's all part of the growth process too.
Hmm. It really is.
So thank you for working on this with us together. Okay, I wanted to start with if you wouldn't mind telling the people a little bit about the source. I've obviously been there, love it, adore it, but in your words, because only a founder can describe it best, tell us about the source.
Yeah, so we are a local coffee roastery and taproom in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We were formerly a shop prior to our rebrand. We're actually rebranded. Um, we were Black Sheep Coffee, which was a super popular, just collective space for everybody to gather. Every walk of life was welcome. It had immense like culture and diversity. It was just a beautiful space in Sioux Falls that so many people have memories at. But the space that we were located in got purchased. So then we needed to find a second location. My husband and I kind of like dreamed that this space could be more than just serving coffee in a community space. We were living in Denver at the time, and so we were exposed to a lot more food and beverage locations that had just kind of some unique branding, or we saw just different ways of incorporating beverage into your space. And that's when we first saw the iPort system, which is a self-serve tap wall, which was just magical, like the combination of the two to do coffee to the degree that we do as specialty baristas and coffee roasters. We knew we wanted to marry beer and wine with our coffee just so that we have a beverage for everybody on every occasion or every meeting, or just a safe space for people to come together and have the drinks that they love. So we saw I pour it at a location called First Draft in Denver. We got all the information, and
Love
then
that.
yeah, the space is amazing.
Yeah.
We ended up marrying the two, and here you have the source now that is coffee, beer, and wine, and it's actually in a market. So we have other, like it's an incubator program where we have other businesses that are within there, and majority of them are female-owned businesses, which is really cool. So there's like a bakery, there's retail spaces, an interior design space, and also like food stalls. So we keep our hands out of that, but we have all of those offerings in one building. So and the source is located downtown across from an amphitheater. So we really have a lot of cool culture and like community-based things that are within our location and neighborhood.
Love that. And that's one thing I noticed too. Part of opening up your own business, especially if it's an actual brick and mortar, is thinking about the location. And you
Oh,
chose such an up and coming area of the city you're in, and one that feels like it really is striving to promote more life in that area. And it's working. Is that something you all were ahead of, or
yeah,
during the
yeah,
time?
exactly. We really were, Emily. Like, honestly, it took us 8 months to find our location. Like, we had already had our dream and our plans put on paper about the rebrand, kind of the direction we were going, because that was kind of something 5 years in the making that we had been thinking about. Like, how can we elevate this? How can we make it safe and do the coffee really well, but then have all these extras? So that was a 5 year plan behind the scenes of Black Sheep that we were working on. But then when it came to the relocation, exactly what you're saying, like it takes a lot of thought. You want this certain feeling in your business, which we knew we wanted, but we wanted a space that was downtown where the community was growing and going to be more elevated in the arts too. So that's why we love the music. Now we're starting to get more mirror in what they town. So it did take, like I said, the 8 months to find the perfect location to kind of plant roots in the new brand. And we were one of the first businesses that kind of led in that direction of downtown, which is really exciting.
That's what I was wondering, timing wise, if you were a leader on that, and
Yeah,
that
we were one of the first.
and important to take the risk. I think if you really believe in something and tapping into, the why behind your
Hmm.
brand, it seems like it's been super intentional to make sure there's pieces of it that carry all the way through, and location's part of that. And I have to applaud you. I think you've done all of that so well,
Oh,
especially
you're sweet.
here.
I think we're lucky though. We had a commercial realtor that was just really, he knew Sioux Falls. I'm not from Sioux Falls, so truthfully don't even know like much about the grounds. I lived in Colorado for 8 years prior to moving here with the source like becoming actually a live business. So we needed to lean on our resources, and trust others with the information that they knew on the growth of Sioux Falls. And I think that's what's so important in business. There are certain things that we know really well, but we have to trust others and their expertise to guide us when we're making like those tougher decisions. Like where to locate this.
I love that because it does take being able to see your skills and what you're good at, and we can't do it all. And,
No.
hiring a team for your accounting, hiring a team for your social media, which your story of one of the things we're big fans of is your online presence and your social media, your voice and who your brand is and who you are really carries through. And you told me a bit of the story on how you found your human for that. And I think it would resonate if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think initially when I started, I wore all the hats. I was working my business full time. I was the accountant, I mean, managing my team, the wholesale director, doing the full books, marketing, the schedule, everything. And I just like came to a point where I have this dream, right? But I can't execute it all by myself. And it wasn't that not trusting others, it was just not finding the right person yet.
Yeah.
And Ashley Sademo, who is my marketing director, I like love her dearly. Honestly, I didn't know her at all other than she started coming into the coffee shop. And I thought she was just the cutest girl ever. Like dressed so cute. I loved her style, everything. And so I just slowly started talking to her and almost like hitting on her, total girl crush.
Love it.
Yeah. And I was like, finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her for coffee. Like the worst thing she could say is no. So like I just went up to her and said, "Hey girl, do you just want to grab coffee and get to know each other?" And she said yes. We had coffee. Literally, it was like a 2.5 hour conversation. Like talked about everything. Like just vibed about everything, just life, and just our journeys and where we were at and all of the things. And then I found out she's a photographer through the conversation. And I I don't even know, it just naturally came out of my mouth like, "Could you help me and take photos?" And she said yes. So she started taking photos, and I was still doing, the posting and the conversation, and we became really good friends. And I finally was like, I followed her. Shoreworthy is her page online, in where she does some blogging and shares different things, and it's just beautiful. And I'm like, that's what I want for this source. So then she just committed to the whole thing, and I mean, she kills it. That I cannot take like any of that credit because she's just a creative genius.
Yeah, the video content is just so good and it's funny, it makes you laugh, but it's hitting with the
Yeah.
it's really good. And I think we can relate as co-founders. Bryn and I had sort of professional crushes from afar, and we still have those in our professional personal lives. When you want to add, those people to your lives who are only gonna, make it better from that relationship standpoint,
Yeah.
but able to see their talents and skills for what they are and add them to the mix just adds more magic. And I love that story.
So important in that too, right? Is that especially somebody that is your marketing personnel that's kind of just sharing your story for you in a sense. It's important to have a good relationship with them because I mean Ashley knows my personality, the way I talk, the how I feel about my brand, and she embodies all of that. So you can get a good idea of just I don't know how you feel in this space because she really is intentional about sitting in the space, seeing how it feels. And those posts come from like a dear place and knowing me and our community and how much we love our people. And I feel like that like is so important when you're picking your person, like you're saying, to share your story and speak on behalf of you.
That's a huge takeaway and really just such an important piece in making sure you're authentic and that it feels like how you want it to come across, even if it's not exactly like us as the people behind the business, but does it feel like our mission? And love that aspect and that advice on that front.
Yeah.
Um, Circling back, I really feel like what you've built here is like sort of every woman's secret dream is to have a coffee, wine, cute place, shop, right? We either want to like take on the world and don on our corporate suits and fight, or we want to nest and make cute spaces and welcoming spaces, etc. So thought everyone could relate a lot to what you're doing and wondered how did that dream come about for you? And once you saw the dream, how did you know that you were going to pivot from what you were doing to chasing after it?
Yeah, it's so funny because this life is like by default. This is all, I mean, I went to school for nursing and prior biology. So I literally have no experience in business. No prior classes were taken at university, nothing. My dad and my parents had invested in my cousin, Billy, who took on Black Sheep, and like, I mean, you would love him. He is the most like extroverted, bubbly, loving, funny, all the things human. And Billy took one shop to three, which was really exciting. Black Sheep had three shops at one time. So we had known when my parents were silent investors of this really cool business. I was a coffee shop in Sioux Falls. I didn't live there, so I had minimal experience of enjoying this space. But sadly, my cousin committed suicide and had mental health disorders. So it was a very tragic experience for our family. But rather than, dawning and sitting in sorrows of that, like I'm somebody who's like I don't know, I want to fix emotions. Like, I mean, that comes from the nursing and wanting to like help others feel good and be more of a healing spirit. I ended up actually working there for a cousin who took over the business, and I just felt the community and how rooted it was here. And it felt really good to like serve others and have this just unique space where everybody called home. It was their home away from home. And when the space was going to get purchased, and they were going to knock down the building, I was like, told my father, I was like, there's no way we can take this from people. Like, there's just no way. It felt like a crime almost, right? Like, it makes me emotional because I'm like everyone felt so happy there and safe, and they came from every walk of life. And I was like, there's no way that we can take this. Like, we just can't. So then that's when like my wheels were spinning, and I was like, my sister's an interior designer, which is amazing because she was able to put this all in perspective too. And then my husband just loves food and beverage industry and has been in it for a long time. We started doing our research, coming up with this plan, and we were like, this rebrand then came about, and then basically Black Sheep 2.0, the source, came to life. And it was just purely out of like grit of loving people.
Kristen, I love that. I didn't know that story. You're making me emotional.
Random.
Sure.
I know. It makes me so emotional because it's like a bad thing though that has turned so good and become so positive. And I'm thankful though that my sister created such a space as an interior designer that feels so like dreamy. Like I just put a bunch of pictures on a vision board, and like she just was like, okay, this is happening.
Once again, somebody in your corner who knew you well. Turn your reality.
Everything is like hand built by my dad and a dear friend of his. So this space is it feels like home to me because, I mean, we grinded, my whole family was in there, like putting it together. We built the tables, built the cabinetry. Everything is out of pure like love. And then hoping, like you build it and you're like, I hope that people come.
Amazing. I think that speaks to like another point, right? Your heart really led you to follow this dream and not even like
Yeah.
but keep it going, it sounds like, and an energy and a need that you saw, and then how it turns into a group effort. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of small business owners can relate to, and even if they're large businesses now, but you got to start somewhere, they become such an all hands on deck,
Yeah.
and recognizing that your community is part of your progress and part of your story is just what we're all about. And I love that that's sort of your flag and how you've gotten to where
Yeah.
you are, not just your coffee community and your consumers, but your family.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think this was just like to turn the chapter into, I know my cousin wouldn't work so hard, and like in as much as he loved that business, I was like, okay, that cannot be the end of his legacy. It's got to live on. Like, the love has to keep pouring out to the people. So in this space is like amazing. Like the energy that is within this space, and honestly, what makes the energy and creates the culture is the people. Like we have the most fantastic. Could not have handpicked a better like following as far as our regulars and just even our day-to-day that are becoming best friends and part of our source family and our baristas' lives. I mean, it's just a dream.
Love that. As you've grown and, kind of shifted the brand, the rebranding, the new space, and kind of followed where the vision takes it, what has come up for you that felt like the next challenge, or has there been anything
Oh yeah.
that you were like, what do I do here?
Yeah. I mean, as every entrepreneur in food and beverage knows right now, there's been a ton of obstacles and challenges. I mean, and anyone in business, right, in the last 2 years with us having COVID and just our lives kind of shifting and like there are a lot of unknowns. Um, that was hard and wild. And I think in those moments, it makes you realize like the most important part of being an entrepreneur is being willing to pivot, not getting stuck in your grind. Because when we do get tunnel vision like that, I mean, you can lose your business so quickly, right? We have to adapt to our environments, and especially when we're serving others and we are brick and mortar, it's having to adapt and become creative. Thankfully, I have creative people on my side too that help me when I have these wild ideas, they can help me execute them. So, I mean, that has been very challenging the last 2 years of knowing how do we keep people confident in coming here and allowing us to serve them, and also just, I don't know, you had to kind of weed out the politics of it, all the things that was wildly challenging. And I think as a business and as a team, we did like such a fabulous job of that. And that wasn't just me, that was my entire staff. We just navigated that together. And I think leaning on other people and asking advice, like, how do I do this? And be thoughtful and just intentional about how we're going to serve people and how we are going to pivot. I mean, that's just one of many like challenges in the last couple of years. I mean, right now we're at a growth period where we are starting to build our wholesale business. So that's another business that we have within the source of Coda. So right now I'm implementing new softwares and trying to figure out what is a good way to streamline this service so that we can be sure that we can serve others in a high demand.
Tell
So
us more.
it's like learning as we go, right?
Yeah, 100%. We joke about that all the time, and having this be like, not the first business I've done, especially with female founders. It's been amazing to me to have that community and that support and that partnership where you talk about asking opinions, not even just with your business partners, but with your community, with your family, with people who think differently than you on
Yeah.
how you navigate that space. And I feel like every day it's figuring out intensive courses on how the fuck to actually do this thing that
Yeah.
you don't really know all the answers to. But
Yeah. And you don't. I think that is the one gift that I've had on my side is that I am not afraid to ask. And I had a good girlfriend who successful in businesses, and she said that's the one thing about you. Why I feel like you will find success, because I don't know. Like literally, this came out of a passion and a need to want to serve people. I have no idea how to run a business, but I ask a lot of questions. I work a lot on educating myself through podcasts and online schooling. Like I'm now the roaster. I did an online schooling for it. I had my previous roaster teach me, like I asked a million questions to him. He had the skills, he gave me, all the knowledge for me to hopefully be able to develop as good as skills as what he had. So it's just like really asking questions, being vulnerable and not afraid to say, I don't know this.
I love that
It's
advice.
okay, right? It's totally okay.
Yes, love that advice. I am with you. I ask too many questions sometimes, I feel like, but sometimes there's no such
I
thing.
do too. I do too.
Yeah. I feel
When
like
I was little, my parents always said they would be like, okay, when are you going to stop?
until I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I want to dive a little bit into, you talked about wholesale,
Mm-hmm.
and like what is that next step? Because I know you're a roastery as well. You can buy your coffee on site. Can you buy it online? Is that something more for scale?
Yeah, so that is like kind of the side of business. We're at a point right now where I'm comfortable. I built a team for the floor. I used to work on the floor all the time, but realized again I can't wear all the hats. My passion and joy would be to be on the floor and just see you every day and make your coffee and chat and like know that you're good in your life. But being more realistic to scale my business, I have to a little bit put myself behind the scenes. which has been a huge focus this last year. And with that being said, it's what we're focusing on is the wholesale business. So where we're selling into coffees, restaurants, boutiques, the pavilion, for instance, is a new one that we just added. Any space that serves customers or guests, what have you, coffee is who we're kind of focusing on, even restaurants. And then that is one part of kind of just our online and moving our coffees. We have a retail store within our own business, obviously. And then online, we have our tumblers and our coffee, and we'll soon be adding clothing.
Love it. So good.
A lot of ways to, get our services or I don't know, just be a part of our family and join us. And we hope that whether you're brewing coffee at home or maybe at your office where you're at, we can be a part of your everyday. That's just our goal.
And that's what we like to ask, like, how can our community continue to watch your journey, support you, and, kind of follow along?
Yeah, I think honestly, all of our platforms, social media wise, is just the Source SF. And that's Instagram, Facebook, and then that's our website too. And that's where you'll get a good idea of all of our events that we're doing. We're starting Love Lab again, which is really exciting. That's our speed dating series.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And then we do live music. All sorts of events. And we're always open to having people message us through the website, which we've gotten most lately, and just give us ideas. Tell us what you want. And that's with our new software companies that we're integrating with in the next month. There'll actually be a platform where our customers can suggest beers they love, what they love online. We're trying to be able to touch you even when you're not within the space, but allow you to have a little bit more, feeling and stake in what we do, because you're a family. At the end of the day, our customers are our family. That's the only reason we get to be here.
That's beautiful. Love that so much.
Yeah.
Want to humanize and bring, the human back to the business too. So a couple more questions. You have a daughter. She is
Yes.
how old now? How old is she?
She's gonna be 3 on Saturday.
That's wild. I can't
Yes.
even hold her. She's so cute. How has that shifted entrepreneurship for you in any way?
Oh, yeah. She's been the greatest gift and blessing in this whole journey, honestly. I think we'll be 5 years in January. So in the first 2 years, I think my husband, my family, everyone can tell you, even my staff at the time, I grinded. I was there 7 days a week, open to close almost. There was no off switch. And I think, with Remy, I have to prioritize, like, she's so important in my life. So 8 to 3, I'm busy working, but after 3, when my daughter comes home, it is mom time, it's family. And in the last year, I've really learned to keep my laptop in my bag and to be comfortable with that ongoing list of to-dos. I'm a perfectionist, and I like to have everything crossed off my list. It makes me feel good and accomplished and not like worried about waking up the next day with all the to-dos. But I'm starting to realize, you still have to have your personal life, and learning business boundaries too is so important. So we don't cross the lines of burnout. And literally, Remy has taught me and highlighted that so much in my life. And I think without her, I don't know where I would be today. I would probably be at the burnout.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, people in business felt that with, the times where we had to shut down. We saw what that more focused time with those you love or whatnot, even if it was horrendous for our businesses with events. My other company, we had to go on. Well, there was beauty to be found in that in certain ways. And shifting that perspective with, bringing a child into your life, it's hard to balance. And I think especially as women, we wear a lot of hats, whether we are perfectionists or days and just need to and want to because that is just part of our DNA, or whether you have no choice and you have a small business and you have to wear all the hats. And we just love hearing, how you incorporate such a big new piece of your life into that daily life and what that feels like.
Can become I can't remember who told me this, but they were just basically, and I think you see it a lot online, saying that allow your children to be a part of your work, like to work with you. Like, I mean, I bring Remy to the shop and the girls love it. She knows how to take the oat milk and go and restock it in the under counter fridge. Like,
Yeah.
she, like, the barista, the girls hold her and she helps with steaming the milk or watches the whole process of a latte be built. And she says to me in the morning, Mommy, can I go to work with you today? Like, she enjoys the space as much as I do. And I think that's so important, right? For children to see what we're doing for them and to just be incorporated in that everyday life, if they can be, you know. It's a family owned business. Remy can be there 7 days a week if she wanted to.
That's so good. I love that. When I was little, my mom owned a bakery, and I
Oh,
used
right.
child labor because we had to get there
Yep.
at 8 a.m., decorate cakes, make cookies, slice buns, like all that jazz. But like looking back, that's some of the most fun family times
Yes.
was doing that together. So that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so good. And I think too, like, seeing the sacrifices that your parents know are doing for you to have a great life, it just, like, I don't know, it's a especially unique bond. You look at your parents in a different light. I know I have. My parents were entrepreneurs and my grandparents were. And I don't know, I think that's what's inspired me to be where I'm at too today, is I was able to be a part of that and I had
Totally.
of what they do.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay. Last question to wrap us up. Who is your go-to can't live without referral? If it's more than one, that's our jam, totally fine. But who is your one referral that if someone asks you, it always comes to mind and you can't help but hype them?
Oh man, I type everyone. I
I
don't
love you.
honestly, I don't think like I have like one. I mean, my family, like, for sure, all of them, like, they all own their own businesses. Um,
That's
and
amazing.
I, yeah, like, we all have our own business. And I think, like, I'm always hyping their stuff and sharing their stuff because I don't know, just knowing that, like, I can always lean on them too when I have stresses or celebrating things in the business. Those are like always my go-to people because they understand, like, what I may be feeling or thinking. I think they're my referrals, my siblings, my husband, my parents.
I love that. What do they all do? What is their
So my older brother owns a roofing company. My dad owns a commercial masonry company. My sister owns an interior design independent firm, and my little brother owns TW Angus. They're cattle ranchers, and they're selling their beef and everything now.
That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
Um,
cool.
best hype girl. So you clearly are what we like to call our walking app. Just someone who this is in their DNA. They love to refer their people and grow their network, and that's
Oh,
what we're all about. And I'm just really thankful that you're willing to face those fears, those goals, and do this with me today. We
yeah, it was good.
Thank you so much, Kristen. We will download this for everybody who missed the live and share it as a love letter to our community of women in business that we totally are inspired by, and you are one of them. So appreciate you.
Oh, you're so great.
Thank you, and good luck with your keynotes. You're gonna crush
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, girl.
Okay, bye.